That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is making her follow-up appearance here this year in 2023 on the Kevin McCullough Show, and we are so grateful to have Jacqueline Toboroff with us, specifically to discuss the debate that went down this week. A lot of people, as I've already made mention, have viewed what happened on the stage from a fairly different kind of lens. And I think a lot of the time it has kind of depended upon the stage of life, where people are at, and what they're looking for by way of the next president. And I think that Jacqueline is going to contribute to that conversation. Jacqueline, it's good to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So this week you had the 8 also-rans on Fox News, and you had Trump on Tucker on X, which sounds completely bad, but Tucker on X, formerly known as Twitter, versus the Fox News channel. And on a given night, Jacqueline, Fox will average 2.5 million people from 7 to 11 p.m. And at that spot, they're killing MSNBC. They're murdering CNN with that number every night. But let's say they had 5, 6, 7 times the number of their average audience. They're still only to 10 to 14 million viewers for the debate night. And that would be a huge audience for them, and they would be celebrating, and they should. That's a lot of audience. But President Trump went on Tucker's show on the X social media platform and walked away with, the last time I checked, nearly 200 million views. That's more people than all of the viewers of all of the debates in the 2020 cycle. You're a mom, you live in Manhattan, you're a conservative in a liberal city. How did he come across?
So I watched both. I watched the Trump and Tucker interview, and I watched the Fox. And I have to say, the clear winner of Fox to me was Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm 45. I'm a divorced mom of 2. To me, he came off clearly as the most intelligent. He was the most authentic. If we're just discussing style, it seemed like he knew it by heart just because he feels it. He's lived it. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He knew what he was talking about. But moreover, he was able to relay it to people that aren't in business, that don't own businesses. I think his delivery is just the best. He comes across as authentic, like he's not reading from a teleprompter, like he's not a Chris Christie, a boring, vengeful politician. He comes across as someone who knows what the hell he's talking about and has a track record.
So let's talk about that for a second, because as a single mom who's raising children that you want to try to pass a value system onto, and you're doing it in a city that largely opposes your values, and you write about this, by the way, in your columns regularly. And if you're not reading Jacqueline, I would encourage you to do that. Her book, by the way, is Supermoms Activated. It just came out, and it's 12 moms profiled in America that are really making headway on the values that particularly moms value and that they want to pass on to their children, and that they want the society to be shaped by. But in terms of the perspective that you had on that, a lot of the things that Vivek advocated for fall right in line with the policies that Donald Trump had when he was president, that he's claiming he will make the kind of cornerstones of his new presidency. And Vivek went into areas to campaign like the inner city, south side of Chicago, other neighborhoods that are very, very tough that Republicans don't go to. Do you think that he is the kind of prototype of what the Republican message, the conservative message, will look like in the next 14 months?
Yeah, you bring me to the next point. Vivek won that debate. The winner was Donald Trump. I mean, Vivek's points were great. They're largely Donald Trump's points. And Donald Trump has the massive lead. I will be voting for Donald Trump. And I think it's time in 2023 that the public tunes out the media when they say suburban moms don't like Donald Trump or this or that. Number one, I don't believe it. I don't think suburban moms like the illegals. I don't think suburban moms like the drugs. I don't think suburban moms want the refugees from New York City coming and changing their schools, their quality of life. I think suburban moms have had it. And I think we need to stop voting with emotion. The left is amazing at messaging. A MAGA extremist. What is a MAGA extremist? That is a Make America Great Again. That's an extremist to want that. I mean, this is crazy. We need to start voting for policy and stop voting on emotion.
You mentioned the idea that moms care about all these issues. One of the things that happened in 2022 that not a lot of people noticed, I talked about it. And we're going to have more moms on the show soon to talk about it. But the local school board and school board policies are shaping, I think, a big portion of this election in ways that nobody's tracking, particularly when it comes to gender ideology in schools and required inclusion of diversity, equity, and inclusion, required CRT elements, those types of things. Did you hear anything, see anything from the debate or Trump's appearance this week that tells you that they have a better handle on that than the Democrats do?
I think Trump and Vivek have been very strong on this. Again, it's very similar. They are anti-CRT. They have both discussed disbanding the teachers union, which has to happen. They have both discussed the federal government's intrusion on the states' rights vis-a-vis education. They have both embraced parental rights. Vivek, last night, he was very clear. The strongest form of governance is from the nuclear family. No one should be telling parents how to raise their kids. This is central to anyone on the right that is going to win. Chris Christie had a major misstep over the summer. He said that he thinks, and I'm paraphrasing, that, if a parent agrees, a minor, 2, 3, 4 years old should be able to transition. Have you seen what some of these parents are doing lately? I mean, we have moms arrested for feeding their kids fentanyl. Should they be making that decision? So again, Vivek and Trump and DeSantis have been very strong on pro-parental rights. That's it. There are 85 million moms in America, and we have had it, quite frankly.
Well, and that's why you wrote your book, Supermoms Activated. When we come back from this break, we're going to break down some of what that mom voter profile looks like. What are they fighting for, and why are they fighting so hard? Why do they feel so desperate in this hour to fight as hard as they do? You know, moms happen to be the busiest people on the planet, and yet a lot of them are, creating even more time in their schedule to take on these fights at the local level. And whether it's a school board, whether it is citywide policy that's impacting how their family is able to survive in this day, and even down to economic policy, national security policy, moms are starting to not only be informed, but very, very concerned about the direction that the country is headed. We will continue with one of those super moms, Jacqueline Toboroff, on the other side of this message. I'm Kevin McCullough, live from Times Square. Don't go away.
Ready or not, he'll be right back. That Kevin